Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about Burnout, specifically Marvel Burnout. Back on May 2nd, 2008, this is the day that the film industry would change forever. Well, at least for the next decade, but this is the day that Robert Downey Jr. would make a miraculous comeback, taking on the role that is probably one of the most iconic characters on screen today, Tony Stark. This was the start of the MCU and the beginning of a decade-long saga of absolutely epic proportions. 10 years of films based on characters that I remember reading about in comics as a kid. 10 years of films that captivated millions and millions of people. And also 10 years of films that made Disney and Marvel absolute billions of dollars. The Marvel Cinematic Universe was everything that I wanted it to be and much, much more. Some of the films were good, some of the films were bad. Even with the good and the bad films over the decade, the payoff was absolutely monumental. All these films over the years were leading up to the biggest movie release in history, Avengers Endgame. This movie was the absolute holy grail of all comic book films. The writing, the performances, the scope and scale of the film, they were all larger than life. Avengers Endgame was just as the title states, it was the endgame. It had 10 years of loyal fans willing and waiting for an outcome to take place. And that outcome did not disappoint. Cap lifting Thor's hammer was absolutely the best scene in the MCU, in my opinion. Not because it was the flashiest of scenes, nor was it the most bombastic of scenes, but what this scene did have was the weight of millions upon millions of fans and their emotions tied to it, which led to the biggest hero moment in the franchise. When the dust settled, everything came back full circle, right back to the man who started it all. And it took us on this epic 10-year journey. It took us back to Tony Stark. I am Iron Man. And just like that, we were done. Over the next couple of years, Marvel would start to churn out more and more films in this movie franchise that felt more like a yearly release of Call of Duty. From the TV shows to more movies to new characters being written to some of the old characters also being rewritten. This started to take the franchise downhill, in my opinion. Some things just felt off. Something felt like it was missing from the new phase of these Marvel films. Nothing felt connected anymore. And for me, that was such a hard pill to swallow. I also felt like I was lost to some of these characters. And at this point, I could feel like the burnout was starting to set in. But it wasn't up until the release of Thor: Love and Thunder, the trailer. And that's when I realized how much of burnout started to set in. Now, by any means, I'm not saying these films are bad. Some are bad, and a lot of them are good. But this is coming more of a place of indifference other than dislike. I'm at a stage where I can either take these films for what they are or I can leave them. The trailer for Thor looks good. We get a solid training montage as Thor gets back into shape. He's definitely getting his cardio in with those battle ropes, but they're anchors, chain anchors. So I guess battle chains. But either way, this man's putting in the work. This is a movie that I should be excited for, but I'm not. Just as well as Doctor Strange. These two films are films that I probably should be excited for as a Marvel fan, but I'm just not. There's something missing from me. I think a lot of my indifference has to do with the market just becoming so oversaturated with superhero properties, as well as a different narrative push in Hollywood. And it absolutely sucks for these films, man. Now that we are basically in a streaming war, these streaming services have shifted into the mainstream, and it has definitely become the main source of entertainment consumption for everything at this current state. Everything has a streaming service. Netflix, Hulu, Paramount, what else we got? Disney Plus, you got Amazon. It's just so many different streaming services that are just saturated, and these things are all filled with, superhero properties. And this isn't exclusive to Marvel as well. You can even look at some of the DC properties. Look at Star Wars. That's absolutely been ran into the ground. As I'm making this video, I just found out Batwoman had just got canceled, and this is one of those CW shows. So these Marvel, not just Marvel, these superhero properties are absolutely all over the place, man. The list goes on and on for just how many streaming services out there, how many movies that are superhero filled or some type of superhero property that just are not what they used to be. These things just feel off, and I feel kind of lost in the grand scheme of things right now. And like I said, Disney Plus and the CW, they just continue to add to the problem, as well as all the rest of the streaming things. The current lineup of movies right now and shows as well, they appear to have no purpose and connection. On the same level that the Avengers Endgame saga brought to us, everything now feels forced, and it's wearing on its audience. And I know I might not be the only one that feels that way, but it's hard to kind of be excited for these things when they're coming out every single year, or basically every couple months, with now, like I said, the streaming stuff happening. Too much of anything is always a bad thing. And that's kind of where we're sitting at with these DC properties and Marvel properties. I just feel like there's not a connection anymore. I want to continue to be excited about these things, and I want to go to the theater and enjoy, but I just don't have an enemy right now. That's it for this video. This is just something I wanted to put together, talking about the burnout that I was experiencing over all these different superhero properties. Let me know what your burnout stage is, and if you burnt out or not, or what movie kind of you felt like was the last straw for you. You know, leave it in the comment section below. But with that said, my name's Lincoln. This is the RPG Show. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.